As the Saiyans fought off Baby, Turles finally made a huge discovery, finding and unleashing Cumber. Now with another evil Saiyan freed, where do we go from here? We'll be covering all that and more in this 9th part of What If the Saiyans Were Good. Not long after this encounter, a god arrives to meet the Saiyans, and it's not Beerus. The Supreme Kai Shin shows up on the Saiyans' planet, which for now is simply referred to as New Planet Vegeta. They're hoping that they're not encountering a new threat right away, and technically they're not. Shin's not a threat to them, but he is here to warn them of something, or rather, request their help with something. Bobidi actually did end up on Earth, and he's planning to strike soon enough, trying to revive Majin Buu, and Shin has to explain exactly who Buu is. Thankfully, the Saiyans are at least familiar with Earth because they've been there before. Well, at least most of them have. Bobidi actually did want to go after Frieza or the Saiyans, but he couldn't find them easily, and it definitely would have been way too risky to go after Frieza anyways. So this should suffice. Getting energy on Earth would be great, and then he could revive Buu, and then he'll just have Buu attack Frieza. Little does Bobidi know that would be a terrible idea, and Frieza would win that regardless. But no one knows that. Point is, Bobidi is on Earth trying to get energy to revive him. The Saiyans agree with it, especially because Shallot wants to test out his new god form. He's actually not sure what it is at all, or how he obtained it. They were actually just about to test out the exact same method again, but Shin kind of interrupted their plans. They spent a lot of time rebuilding and recuperating after Baby's attack. Immediately after, they tried figuring out what caused Shallot to transform, but it looks like that's going to be delayed a little longer. Next up, they're going to test it on Giblet. The group arrives on Earth with Shin teleporting everyone there. The issue is they don't know where Bobidi is right now. There's a couple strong powers in the same area, so they go to that first, which ends up being the World Tournament. Oh yeah, Shallot and Giblet remember this. And pretty quickly, Shin picks out some of Bobidi's servants. Right now, the tournament is in its final match. One of the contestants is a guy with 3 eyes, representing a school called the Crane School. The other is representing a school called the Turtle School, joining because her father used to be a part of it. Kakarot recognizes her right away. That's Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi ends up winning her fight, becoming the champion of the tournament, and she's up against Mr. Satan next. Thinking he's the strongest, Spopovich and Yamu are actually trying to steal energy from Mr. Satan. But his fight with Chi-Chi ends up being really quick because he bribes her. She takes it because it's easy money. She doesn't really care about the glory of this battle. Besides, she knows she would have beaten him anyways, and she's glad to have at least won the actual tournament. Fighting Mr. Satan was just kind of an honorary thing. This leaves Spopovich and Yamu kind of empty-handed. So, on a whim, they try to attack Mr. Satan, but somebody jumps in the way. It's Raditz, acting on his own. He holds on to Spopovich while Yamu tries to go after Chi-Chi, but Kakarot jumps in. Then she senses a bunch of strong powers and sees all the people in Saiyan armor. Those alien dudes are back, and she remembers Kakarot. She's glad to see him here again, but why is he here? And hopefully this time he's here a bit longer. Shin and Kibito were kind of hoping they wouldn't intervene, but they weren't able to react quick enough. They didn't think Kakarot and Raditz would jump in. Not sure what to do now, Spopovich and Yamu end up retreating, and the Saiyans try to stop them, but Shin and Kibito communicate with them telepathically, telling them to not do this. That's when they then realize Kibito's here too, actually waiting for Shin on this planet. So the group goes to follow Spopovich and Yamu. Shin didn't bring all the Saiyans with him because it's kind of overkill. Like, he didn't need to bring that big of a group to fight Buu, especially because Shallot is the strongest at the moment, so he only brought Vegeta, Bardock's family, Shallot, and Giblet. This group should be strong enough, and after all, they don't want to bring too many strong people. That would give Bobidi more chances to get energy. Kakarot and Raditz stay back to make sure the tournament isn't attacked, just to ensure Bobidi doesn't have any more henchmen. And the rest of the group follows Spopovich and Yamu. They watch as Bobidi kills those two, and then sicks Dabura onto them. Before Dabura could do a surprise attack, he's stopped. Shallot transforming into a Super Saiyan God, killing him with one shot. Seems like a pretty simple task. Shallot then infiltrates the ship alone, with Shin and Kibito trying to stop him, although the other Saiyans just follow along. They trust his judgment. He enters the ship and quickly defeats Pui, and then also defeating Yakon. With no idea of what to do next, Bobidi thinks his best bet is stealing energy from Shallot. He is able to catch Shallot off guard, teleporting him to Bobidi's part of the ship alone, and then draining his energy, while he's in Super Saiyan God no less. It's strange because Shallot's ki doesn't feel normal, and there's no evilness in his heart to exploit right now. But Bobidi also feels a weird divine presence within him. Not a big deal though. This means he has more than enough energy for Buu now. Once Bobidi's done taking the energy, he teleports Shallot away, who was briefly paralyzed by having that energy stolen, as well as being pretty weakened because Bobidi took a lot of it. He actually took way more than he needed too. He's only got a moment alone before everyone gets down here, but it's fine. He just needs to feed this energy to Buu's egg. He watches on gleefully as the energy fills up Buu's egg, and then something weird happens. Bobidi then teleports himself and the egg to the surface. The Saiyans sense him moving, so they fly back up. And as they get back to the surface, they see the egg hatching. Someone steps out of it, but it's not what Bobidi expected, and it's definitely not what Shin and Kibito expected. They were terrified at first, but now they're just confused and actually a little happy. Especially Shin, because it's someone he recognizes. Standing there is the Grand Supreme Kai. Very confused himself, too. Last he remembers he was part of Buu, and then he was sealed away. He looks around. There's a bunch of Saiyans and 2 other Kais. And then there's Bobidi. Oh yeah, he should deal with that guy. Fearfully, Bobidi throws up a barrier, but the Grand Supreme Kai launches a beam, quickly dispatching him. He can't deal with him any longer. Shallot's ready to fight, expecting that to be the Majin Buu guy, but Shin tells him to stop. That's not Buu. This is actually one of the people Boo absorbed. The Grand Supreme Kai then makes a weird face, and then feels something weirdly painful as part of him splits off. It's a piece of pink goo, and then it molded into the South Supreme Kai. Shin and Kibito are really confused because why are these two back and not Majin Buu? Well, the Grand Supreme Kai's not too sure either, but he felt a bunch of godly energy surging through him. It's almost like it purified Buu in a way. Whenever Bobidi fed to that egg, the energy went directly to him rather than to Buu. The Grand Supreme Kai completely overpowered him, and then purified him. He still does have Buu's powers as part of him, which is why he guesses that pink blob came off of him. It looks like instead of Majin Buu absorbing these two, it's now the other way around. They hold Majin Buu inside of them, purified and restrained, and now they have full control. But what confuses him is the godly key. Where did that come from? The other two Kais point to Shallot, and he's confused. What does he mean godly key? He was just using that new Super Saiyan Red form he has. They don't know what else to call it, he just calls it Super Saiyan Red. The Grand Supreme Kai asks him to show off that form, so he transforms. That's not a normal Super Saiyan form. That's a godly form. Now, the Grand Supreme Kai has been sealed for millions of years, so it makes me wonder if he would know about this Super Saiyan God because that probably came after his time. But I think he definitely would know a god form when he sees it, and Shin and Kibito saw that too. They felt the godly presence within it, but they didn't realize that Shallot didn't know it. Whatever that form is special, and the Grand Supreme Kai wonders what it is. They'll definitely have to look more into it. To make things even more confusing, there's then a bright pillar of light that appears out of nowhere. The Kais all immediately freak out, especially the Grand Supreme Kai because he doesn't know what to do in this situation. And then even some of the Saiyans look surprised, mainly Vegeta and Bardock because they've heard rumors of this guy. Of course, his history with the Saiyans is way different, so Vegeta doesn't really know him the same way he did before. The person standing in front of them is Beerus, as well as Whis. And he's really happy to see right off the bat, Shallot is standing there in Super Saiyan God. Well, that was a lot easier than expected, but he's a little surprised to see the Grand Supreme Kai and South Supreme Kai here. Didn't something happen to them? The Saiyans watch on silently as a lot of exposition happens. High-level conversations between the Kais, Beerus, and Whis. More importantly, they find out why Beerus is here. Coincidentally, they were just looking for the Super Saiyan God because he awakened recently. They actually did go to New Planet Vegeta. And Beerus fought all of the Super Saiyans there. He even got to fight Broly, who was really strong, but found out that there was one stronger Saiyan, although he went to Earth with some other guy that called himself the Supreme Kai. It made Beerus wonder what Shin had in mind with him, but he learns that the Super Saiyan God came here to stop the threat of Majin Buu, which ended up freeing the other two Kais. So, Beerus immediately requests a fight with Shallot. And hearing how strong this guy is, Shallot doesn't turn it down. Everybody watches the fight go on, and even at the tournament, people could feel the shockwaves from it. The fight then eventually moves its way towards the tournament itself, with everyone in the crowd watching. Kakarot and Raditz are completely lost because what has everyone been up to? Who's that cat guy? Is that Majin Buu? They can't sense his power just like Shallot's. Anyways, Beerus is really content with his fight, and more importantly, after he flew over the World Tournament, he smelled a bunch of good food down there. So, he decided to make a brief detour. All the Saiyans and the Kais followed him too, joining in on the tournament festivities. Kakarot and Raditz are caught up to speed, and Chi-Chi also listens into it, but it makes her even more confused. She asks Kakarot if he could fill her in on what's going on, and honestly, he has no clue either. One thing I should mention about Beerus here is that he didn't actually suggest the destruction of Planet Vegeta like normal. He actually pities the Saiyans. He was pretty surprised to find out that a lot of them were still alive. There was a point where he considered it, but that was when the Saiyans were partially evil. At some point they were pretty much all good and he had no reason to have them destroyed. Frieza went ahead and did that, and that kind of irked Beerus because destruction is his job. Beerus also learns more of what happened with Frieza after he talks with Vegeta. They spend some time at one of the concession stands stuffing their face because both of them enjoy the good food here. He learns of what happened over these past few decades while he was asleep, and he also learns more about Vegeta himself, the prince and the current leader of the Saiyans. Technically the king, although he doesn't consider himself as that because King Vegeta will come back soon enough. Little do they know, they're on a planet right now that has Dragon Balls. But still, there is the risk of Frieza killing all the Saiyans again, so they're gonna wait regardless. Beerus learns of Vegeta's drive and how he believes he can stop Frieza. But Whis warns Vegeta that something equally evil has awoken recently. It's not just Frieza that's stronger. There's something else out there. In his search for Saiyans, there are actually two more he located. Now, hearing that they were evil, Beerus didn't go after them because neither of them could have been the Super Saiyan God. But this is big news to Vegeta because he didn't know there were two other Saiyans out there, specifically evil ones. He thought there were more Saiyans out there, but shouldn't the evil ones all be gone by now? And that's probably the huge power he was sensing that fought Frieza. It definitely did feel evil. Vegeta continues enjoying the food in order to drown out his worries, but then a woman approaches him. Someone who came to this tournament for fun as a spectator, and is intrigued by all the weird people that just showed up. The cat guy, the dude with the mohawk, the blue man, etc, etc. They're definitely all costume entertainment, especially all the people in armor. Although she saw that they were all following Vegeta's order, so she assumed that he's the ringleader. And she goes up to him asking what their performance act is all about. Because that's clearly what it is. They staged that fight above the World Tournament, and that was pretty fun to watch. She thinks that type of entertainment would be good for a Capsule Corp party. It definitely is quite the spectacle. He learned her name's Bulma, and she asks why they're all dressed in weird armor besides Vegeta. He doesn't think the armor's weird, he just took it off temporarily. Anyways, they all continue enjoying the tournament festivities, and the Kais return home, bringing all the Saiyans back too. Shallot ends up going with Beerus and Whis, and Giblet actually tags along with him because Beerus wonders if it's something hereditary. Either way, they're going to get to the bottom of it. One person doesn't leave though. It's Kakarot. He decides to stay on Earth for a little longer because he came here before and kind of wants to stay more. He asks them to send a ship on autopilot so he can return when he wants, and he's not really sure why, but it feels like Earth is kind of calling to him. Also, with Earth facing the threat of Bobidi, he's worried it might face other threats. Thankfully, the androids never showed up because Shallot and Giblet were very thorough with the Red Ribbon Army, and Piccolo was never unleashed by the Pilaf gang. They were also stopped by Shallot and Giblet. Not that he knows any of this, just worth mentioning. Kakarot wonders if Earth will face any other threats, and he wants someone to protect it, so that'll be him. Earth has helped them out so far too. Kakarot also kinda likes this planet, and the food here is great. Plus, he recognizes that Beerus is probably going to return for the food because he did say that, and he could use this to hopefully train under Beerus once he returns. He thinks he can make a good impression when he sees Beerus again. Well, the other Saiyans are all fine with this, but Kakarot's family expects to see him back soon. Bardock and Gine hope he's going to be okay here, but Kakarot says it'll be fine. Think of it as a temporary vacation, and he's still going to be training here. The Earthlings know about Ki and have their own training methods, so maybe there's something for him to learn here too that he doesn't know about. Chi-Chi's already shown him a lot of good things about this planet, and he's curious about what else is in store. Oh, he's going to be spending more time with that girl. Bardock, Gine, and Raditz all feel like they see what's happening here. Well, they all return home, and they tell Kakarot that ship should be here in about a week. He can come back whenever he feels, but hopefully sooner rather than later because they don't know when they're going to need him again. He will be back soon. But let's rewind a bit. Back to Turles and Cumber, right after Cumber awakened. Turles is amazed at Cumber's power. He's uncontrollable right now though, and if anyone else were there besides Turles, he would immediately attack and try to kill them. But he could feel it in Turles' ki. He's an ally. He has a similar type of ki to him, and weirdly enough, it's like Cumber can innately sense that he's family. Very largely removed, but still related. Turles learns of what happened to him. Far back into the Saiyans' history, he was defeated by a powerful good Saiyan, one who is empowered by other Saiyans and then transformed into something else. He hates the good Saiyans, and he learns from Turles that some of them are still alive, but he could feel something else. He could sense that far away, there's a new presence that's awoken, and despite himself not being divine, being the legendary evil Saiyan and basically a counter to the original Saiyan god, he and even Turles can sense a shift in the universe's balance. More so Cumber. It feels like his mortal enemy has awoken once more, but it was brief, and it eventually disappeared. What he sensed was actually Shallot fighting on Earth, and then eventually fighting Beerus. Cumber did try to keep track of it, but it fully vanished. That's because it went to Beerus' realm. Could this be it? Their key to finding the other Saiyans? Turles hoped that they'd be allies, but no. They're mortal enemies to Cumber, and by extension, they're probably his mortal enemies too. He's not sure how to feel about that. He may be evil, but he has no reason to kill fellow Saiyans other than his ancestral ties. He'd rather not kill fellow Saiyans, but it seems their fates tie to this. And besides, what's more important to him is power, and if this leads him to more strength, as well as Saiyan domination, then so be it. Cumber is his new ally after all, so whatever he does next will be in both their best interests. They still have Frieza to deal with too. But with that, we'll leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part, and what's going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help with the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.